Okay, I have here Red Dead Redemption loading, and my goal on this video is to show you HDR10 and compare that with HLG. On Red Dead Redemption, the HDR10 is perfect on the range. There's no dark crush, no clipping on the highlights. The midtones, they look perfect. The problem is the colors. The colors are washed out. So I'm going to turn off the lights so you can see better the game. Let me make sure that we have the graphics set correctly. So we have right now the game running on SDR. So let me turn off the lights so you can see better on the video. You can see the game better. And I'm gonna be changing the exposure just to make sure that you can see it the best I can show you. So let me change the exposure on the camera, lower that a little bit more. Okay, so let me show you the SDR settings. So the SDR settings we have here are, let me get the camera closer to the screen. Okay, so here's the SDR settings we have. This is accurate settings, okay? Based on people who know, you know who. 75, contrast 85, gamma 1886. That sounds about right. The colors, we have auto detect 55, warm 50. And this looks good. This looks good. If I didn't have a plasma TV, I would be happy with these colors. I would say, oh, this looks good. I don't see any problem with it. It looks fine. But I'm gonna show you on the third video a comparison on SDR between this and the plasma, and you will see what I'm talking about. And you will see how HLG with color gamut on native, saturation 50, warm 50 looks exactly the same as the plasma TV in terms of the colors, but you get that HDR effect, which is fantastic. That's gonna be the next video. On this one, let me show you the colors on SDR and how they get diluted on HDR10, and we're going to fix everything with HLG color gamut native. So this looks good, but I'm not very happy with that dirt. That dirt is looking desaturated, and this green is looking desaturated in my opinion. Let me change the exposure in case that you can see it better with less exposure. See the colors better. This looks good. I don't have big complaint with it. But let's turn on HDR10 and see what happened. You will see what is going to happen. Just look at the menu. Let's start by looking at the menu. So you see how dark this is? Let me change the exposure because it's too dark on the recording. Let me change it to here. Okay, so you see how dark this is on the menu. Let's take a look what happened with that on HDR. It's just something crazy what happens. Let's see if the game doesn't crash, because this game is not very stable. So that HDR is not working right because I have to be on full screen. So let me turn on full screen and hopefully it's in borderless mode. So let's change it to full screen. And yes, we are on HDR right now. So look at that. It's gray. Let me lower the exposure so you don't think it is because... So I'm lowering the exposure. Of course, if I lower the exposure, it looks darker. But this is great. This is not what I'm looking. Let me compare what I have in front of me with what I can show you. So what I see is this level of gray. So this looks gray. It doesn't look black. So that's a red flag for me. But you know, it doesn't matter. Let's take a look at the game. So first let me show you the settings on HDR. So right now this is tone mapping off. I know this is not correct because it's clipping. That's not HGIG. Okay, so the tone mapping was off. Let me show you that by lowering the exposure. Okay, so you see the tone mapping was off. We need to use HGIG. Boom, and now everything is visible. and it looks wonderful. And let me show you the settings on HDR. You see 150 is auto detect. The saturation should be 55 on auto detect. Okay, so the settings is 800 and 180. And also I want to demonstrate to you, hopefully the game doesn't crash. Or let me do that at the end. I'm gonna demonstrate to you that actually Windows, I have that set up on 800 nits. So that makes a difference on this game, a big difference. On Windows 10 was trying to push 1500 nits and I was not able to fix it. So I did fix that on Windows 11, and now Windows is trying to do 800 nits, which is what this TV can do. And I fixed that using the CRU app. I have videos on my channel. I'm gonna post the link on the video, basically, how I fixed that. So let's take a look at the game, see how it looks with the glorious HDR10. Let me lower the expo. Well, it looks good. It looks good on the recording, I think. Yeah. So the greens are completely diluted now. This dirt here, even more diluted. Yeah, look at that. Look at that green. Let me make sure that you get the same exposure. Well, it's impossible you get the same exposure I have. I have to lower it, otherwise it's blown out. This is awful. Awful colors. So the range is perfect. Like the luminance level, it's just perfect. I have no complaint with the HDR itself. That sun is popping beautifully. I can see all the details. I can see the sun. I can see trees that are between me and the sun here. On the recording, you cannot see it, it's blown out. But the HDR is beautiful on the game. It's absolutely perfect. The problem is the colors. And just to demonstrate to you that there's nothing wrong going on here with the colors on my PC, I'm gonna demonstrate to you with this HDMI signaling override that the colors are not on Rec 709. Okay, this is HDR, so the colors should be on DCI-P3. So by changing the colorimetry to BT709, I see the colors changing. Let me raise. Let's see if you can see it on the video. So this is BT709. You see how it changed from auto to BT709? It gets completely desaturated, and that's to be expected because we are on HDR. Let me raise the exposure a little bit, see if you can notice that better. So look at these colors here. Look at this green here. If I change from auto to BT709, the colors get completely, yeah, you can see it on the video, it's clearly. So the colors get completely desaturated. So that is the proof that this HDR10 is not on Rec 709. Rec 709 or BT709 is the color space of SDR, okay? So I'm not having a weird issue here, a weird situation that HDR is stuck on Rec 709 and that's why the colors look so desaturated. That's not what's going on here. They just look desaturated because they are looking bad. So let's try to fix it, okay? Let's turn off HDR and turn on HLG. Hopefully I don't have to restart the game. What I'm gonna do is change from full screen to borderless so the game doesn't crash. And I'm gonna try to, so it's already on SDR, so that's good. For some reason it's already on SDR. Or it is not. It is on auto HDR. That's what is going on here. It's on auto HDR. So let me turn off HDR if I can. Yes. So I was able to turn off HDR. And let me make sure that this is not on auto HDR. I don't think it is because it's too dim for that. Let me raise the exposure again because we are now on SDR. So this is on SDR now. Okay. And you see the colors, it look a lot better. They look a lot more saturated. Look at this green here. Let me lower the exposure so you can see the exposure is a big deal because the colors, they change the luminosity with the different exposure. So this looks a lot better. but let's make it amazing with HLG. So I change it to HLG, and it looks desaturated a little bit now because I am on Rec 709. So what I need to do to fix that, and let me prove to you that this is Rec 709, okay? And the way I'm gonna prove that to you is very easy. If we change the colorimetry here, let me lower the exposure so you can see. If I change the colorimetry here from auto to Rec 709 and I see no difference, that means that the color space is BT709, which is the SDR color space. Let me raise the exposure and let me go back and forth so you can see it. Let's see if you can see it on the video. Yeah, you can see that there's no change. That's my point. So you cannot be on HDR and Rec 709. That's wrong. HDR does not use that color space. So we need to use a color gamut native, because native is going to remap the colors and is going to expand that color space to DCI-P3. That's what I think is going on. I'm not sure. I'm not an expert, but I think that's what's going on here. So we have auto detect. Let's change the color gamut with the color control app, and hopefully the game doesn't crash. Color gamut native. Let's go back to the game. Okay, native 50. Perfect. So native 50. And it's at night, so we cannot see the, I mean, the time of the day has been changing. Let me make sure that the tone mapping is on off. Yeah, it is on HGIG. So let me turn it off. And let me make sure. Okay, so let's take a look at it. It's at night. The time of the day has been changing. Let me raise the exposure now. Okay, so it's so it's so big of a difference. It's at night, so you might not be able to see it as clearly at night, but even at night, this color green is just looking so much better. Let me see if I can go close to the lake. Someplace I can show you a good shot. Yeah, here for example. Look at that green. Let me change the exposure on the camera so you can maybe see it better. And I have let me show you that I have actually, let me change it to full screen. See if I can in full screen. Okay, so let me show you that actually I have the brightness on the default position. The calibration here, I'm clicking here, restore. Let me lower the exposure just to demonstrate. Clear, restore default, okay. So the calibration of the brightness is on the default position and it's just perfect. Raise the exposure again. I have to be changing the exposure because there's no other way I can show you this HDR range. This looks absolutely perfect. The greens are just right, man. You have to see it yourself, man. It's so difficult. I was at least able to show you how desaturated that HDR10 looks. Now it's night time, so it's not very easy to see. Hopefully the day goes faster so I can show you. See, native color 50, 150. So hopefully the time of the day advances. So this is during the night. So I look at the moon, I can see the moon, the details on the moon, it is popping. So the HDR range is very good. It cannot be better than the HDR10 because HDR10 was already looking spectacular in the HDR, but the colors were looking washed out. So yeah, man, the colors are perfect. You have to rely on my description here because it's not easy to see, especially at night. But that dirt, the green, everything just looks perfect. This looks with HLG, it looks closer to the SDR presentation. So for me, that means it looks more accurate. I will go as far as to say that this looks more accurate than HDR10. I am absolutely convinced that the creator's intent is not for HDR10 to look washed out. It cannot be. Just makes no sense. Why would they, make the colors washed out on HDR? That's not what they want. And I'm sure it's the game. It's not the TV, it's not the white subpixel dilution effect, nothing like that. That's not what's going on here. We have a horse here dead with a with the light, for example. That light source is impressive. It's popping like crazy. Let me lower the exposure so you can see it better. That light is so intense. it's I'm sure I measured that light. It's gonna be at least 600 nits, at least. It might be even more. So let me raise that exposure again. So yeah, man, it is perfect. And I'm gonna show you in that video comparison with the plasma. You will see what I'm talking about. The colors, how this option looks the same as the plasma TV. And I'm gonna be able to show you that because they are gonna be both on SDR. So, HLG is just going to do the conversion. So I don't have to change that on the game. So yeah, I don't know how to show you this in a better way. I know it's a long video, but I just do these videos one try, whatever comes out. I'm completely honest, so I don't have to do any cuts on the video. It would be better to do the cuts, just to make the videos shorter, but I don't have time for that right now. Probably maybe in the future I can do a better job making the videos shorter, but it doesn't get any more transparent than what I'm doing. I'm just showing you real time, trying to change the exposure so you can see it better, trying to show, but mainly rely on my descriptions because I don't have a way to show you exactly what I see in front of me. Especially this night, this time of the day is not the best to show, but I don't know how to change the time of the day, and I have to go to sleep already, so I cannot repeat the video. That's it, man. Just try it for yourself and you let me know. If you turn on HDR10 and you think it looks fantastic, and use it. It does look amazing. The colors are washed out, but if on your TV they look good to you, go for it. The HDR is good. It is perfect, actually. The colors are just bad. So yeah, this is the way I'm gonna play the game, and I'm going to use also black frame insertion and turn on dynamic tone mapping with black frame insertion because I can get 60 frames here. Sometimes it drops, but the game is very demanding at full settings. Okay, so I'm gonna end the video. If you have any questions, just let me know.